What's up, YouTube? In today's video, I'm talking about the New York Knicks and what they should be doing in the offseason, what to expect, and what they can do moving into July, as free agency is just around the corner. So feel free to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's just get on into the Knicks here. So let's throw this up. The Knicks have a couple free agents they got to work with here, and we'll start off with talking about their free agents, their unrestricted free agents. Mitchell Robinson, obviously, is kind of the big one that comes out of the group here. Ryan Arcidiacono as well. And then they have the restricted free agents of Farron Hunt and Jericho Sims. To touch really quickly on these, and then they also have the Taj Gibson non-guaranteed deal. To touch really quickly on these, we'll see what they do with Gibson. I think he can be waived. They really want to create cap space for Jalen Brunson, who we'll really focus on in just a moment. But Mitchell Robinson, I think, is a guy who they'll try to bring back. But if they really are set in their feet, like they're really like digging in their feet, I should say, about the whole Jalen Brunson idea. So does that mean that they sacrifice Robinson? Maybe. I also think Jericho Sims is a dude who I think should get a little bit more time to play. And I think they would be, it would be a poor decision to let him just walk, and go from there. Gibson, already mentioned. But let's talk about the extension eligible players. They recently traded Kemba Walker, so he's no longer on this list. So we won't talk there about him. There's also RJ Barrett, Taj Gibson, who will likely get just his deal non-guaranteed. Cam Reddish, Jericho Sims. The Cam Reddish trade came last season when they traded him to the Atlanta Hawks for Kevin Knox. I don't really know what the deal is with him. I think that they might look to move him still. And kind of a weird trade in retrospect, but ultimately I do like what they provide. And I do like what they have here. They don't really have anything crazy where they have to worry about a player being extended other than RJ Barrett. Now, I think just depending on who you ask, RJ Barrett's either really good or not that great. I personally kind of just don't know if he's pushing the needle to a contender for the Knicks. I think that Barrett's really good, but I just don't think he's, that guy for this team. Still young, so can he grow into it? I think so. Ultimately, I'm not saying that they should, sit here and say, oh, we're not going to extend him and we'll just let him walk in free agency. Obviously not. But is there a trade that could open up? Is there something that can allow them to become better by moving off of Barrett? And what figure does he get when that extension comes as well? So let's now talk about the cap sheet for the Knicks and kind of what it looks like. Right now, they have Julius Randle, Evan Fournier, Derrick Rose. So their whole team is essentially back next year. And that will be really interesting to kind of see how they navigate through this. There have been a lot of trade rumors about Nerlens Noel and Alec Burks about them potentially being moved just to be able to free up more cap space and kind of go from there. But ultimately, this team is kind of set as it is. We'll really see what happens with Mitchell Robinson. And now kind of to the main event, who is Jalen Brunson. So Jalen Brunson is the target for the Knicks. I think that he's a dude that we saw with the Mavericks this year in the playoffs that he can be very good. He also had some games that he wasn't that great. He looked amazing against the Utah Jazz, looked so-so against the Suns, had games against the Warriors in the Western Conference Finals. But ultimately, I just don't know if he's the guy long term. Similar to how I feel about RJ Barrett. So I'm kind of wondering exactly what the whole deal is with them trying to get him. There was a report here recently that said that the Mavericks are kind of prepared to lose him. And so it sounds like the deal is that there's going to be a 4-year, $100+ million deal that is waiting for Brunson. So the Knicks will offer that, and the Mavericks will likely not take it. They could. I think that kind of straps up their team a little bit, so I don't know if they should. It's kind of a lose-lose situation for Dallas, and we'll talk about that in their own independent video. But Brunson, I like the need for offense. I would love for it to come from a player who has a little bit more size. So we'll see there with that. And that's pretty much it. I think I love the Knicks and kind of what they've done with their roster, in the sense that after next season, they'll have a lot more cap space and have kind of a lot more of an idea of what they can do, have some money to be able to move around. But I think it starts with how they, navigate their offseason this year. Is Julius Randle a trade candidate? Can you move off of Fournier's contract? Rose, do you want to keep him? Whatever it may be. I think they aren't a team that I imagine will be in the playoffs next year or the play-in. But I do think this is a team that, again, you want to be able to create cap space, and that's what they're going to try to do here. Ultimately, really quickly to end, I think that they should play Emmanuel quickly more. I also think that this year's draft for them was not great, but ultimately I understand kind of what they did with trying to open up more room, and we'll kind of just see what that looks like. If they walk out of this free agency class, and if they passed on players for future picks, which is fine, but if they passed on current players in this year's draft, who I think a lot of Knicks fans would have been fine with, in Ousmane Dieng and in Jalen Duren, if they walk away with nothing from this summer, I think there's going to be like a real question of like what the front office is doing. Like what exactly are they doing if they can't land even just Jalen Brunson? Because there may be a bigger issue that needs to be addressed there. Other rumors that I've heard outside of Brunson, they have interest in Malcolm Brogdon. There's been some interest in DeJounte Murray, Tyus Jones, Ricky Rubio, and Kyle Anderson for the Knicks. So those are some guys I think they just need, as they are kind of showcasing here, they need a ball handler, and I think that they need a guy who can set up a little bit more offense and, do good in that regard. But ultimately, that's the Knicks. We'll be really interested to see what they're going to use their cap space for. Right now, their projected cap space is about $16 million. That's not enough for Jalen Brunson. But then again, the big key point of the video for this and for the Knicks this offseason is the fact that we want to be able to move Burks and Noel, if not one of them, but preferably both. We want to be able to move these players. We feel like we can move these players. And then that therefore opens up cap space for the team to be able to sign Jalen Brunson. So what do you think? What do you think the Knicks should do? Do you think they should sign Brunson? Do you think they should maybe hold off and not do that and maybe just wait on a better player to come available? Do you think they should make a trade? What do you think they should do? Feel free to put it in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel, and feel free to check out these other videos that we're doing for all the other 29 teams in the NBA and what their off seasons are going to look like. And have a good one. Before the video ends, the Detroit Pistons and the New York Knicks made a trade during recording of those Knicks and Pistons videos. So I'm going to go back here and just add this little video towards the end of this of the respective videos for those two teams, and just really quickly talk about what that means for each side. The Knicks trading Nerlens Noel, here it is on screen, and Alec Burks to the Detroit Pistons. The Pistons are basically just bringing in the cap space, and it's kind of questionable in my personal opinion, like why the Nets, or excuse me, not the Nets, but the Pistons would do this, because obviously this $19 million roughly that they're getting from the Knicks, it could have been used elsewhere. Now it seems as if they're not going to make a restricted free agent offer, like an offer sheet to DeAndre Ayton or to Miles Bridges. So I just kind of am wondering exactly what the deal is there. If anyone wants to clear that up for me, feel free to do that. For the Knicks, this is all about Jalen Brunson. The Knicks video was really focused in on Jalen Brunson and like what he means for them. And I think that, again, this is to clear up that space. Whether it's a good move on them or not to go and try to make this move for Brunson is yet to be determined. But he's going to be paid a lot. And personally, I don't know if he's worth all that. But it is highly likely that the Knicks are going to acquire Brunson and that the Mavericks won't match the offer sheet that the Knicks are about to give them. But that's it. Feel free to check out the other videos. Enjoy your day.